All right, I'm gonna hit the timer and start it. Okay.
All right.
We comfortable with that?
We're comfortable.
Are we silly now?
I feel silly. Laugh till it's real.
feel silly.
Fake laugh till it's real.
1, 2, 3.
This is so stupid. Okay, let's do it. Here we go. You ready?
Yep.
All right.
Let's do it.
Hello and welcome to Two Chunks and a Hunk. This is our
and a
movie
hunk.
podcast where we give pumps and dumps. I am Jordan Wonders and I will be your chunk for the week.
I'm Doge, and I am your chunk and spice latte.
My name is David, and I am Punk Goes Hunk tonight.
That's you.
Yeah, that's
Or today, whenever you're watching
Also
or
today,
listening,
whenever you
whatever
wanna watch
time
it.
of day it happens to be or
we
not
are
be.
live at the Alamo Drafthouse, the only place that you need to watch
True,
movies.
that's
we
true.
were here last night talking about the movie we're talking about today, which is
Justice League.
And our lawyers on staff at Two Chunks and a Hunk, our full-time lawyers that we have, recommended that we read this. So Alamo Drafthouse does not endorse Two Chunks and a Hunk, and the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of Two Chunks and a Hunk, LLC, TM, and do not necessarily reflect Alamo Drafthouse.
That's true.
Between
but
you and
we
me,
would-
Chunkies, we are the official podcast of Alamo
Don't do that.
Drafthouse.
We legally are not.
Legal-
For sure, we definitely, absolutely
the law
are not.
is not real.
But-
this falls under podcast law.
But what we do want to say is a huge, enormous thank
Yes.
you to Alamo
Thank you,
Drafthouse
Alamo Drafthouse.
for allowing us to film in their lobby and annoy all of their
Use
customers.
all of your facilities, toilet, sinks.
bathrooms.
I've used your bathroom
Everything.
twice.
Basically, the bathroom.
Yeah,
That's the
thanks for
big
your
thing.
bathroom.
Basically, the bathroom in the lobby is essentially what we're allowed to do.
If you're listening,
here.
that's where we're filming right now. We are in stall
in the
3. Make sure you do not.
Come find us.
but knock first.
We've got a cool prize. It's poop. So, anyway. So, since we know that we are talking about Justice League, I'm going to kick this bad boy over to my good friend Doge for a summary.
All right, guys. Before I get started on this summary, I do need to make it a point to say, if you care about spoilers, if that's something that's just a big deal in your life, if you go throughout your day wanting to avoid things being spoiled,
Then why are you watching or listening to this?
please watch Justice League
Turn it
before
off.
you watch our show.
Go watch
this,
Justice League.
Pause this right now.
Come back.
Go buy tickets at Alamo Drafthouse to see the Justice League
Yeah.
film, and then come back and listen.
Mm.
That being said, let's spoil some movies.
Let's begin.
Okay. Justice League opens up.
I feel so bad.
There are people in line right now.
Yeah, there are people
going
in line
to
for
see
Justice League
Justice
right now.
League,
Justice
and we're
League.
about to ruin their
We're going to
lives.
talk very quietly.
Yeah, so Doge is going to summarize
Justice
very
League
quietly
begin.
for this part.
Justice League begins. I guess just as we left off. Justice League starts off with Batman. And I'm just going to give like a real general log
Yeah, I
line.
think that's a good
Okay.
call.
As you know, if you've watched the trailers, people in line, Justice League begins with Batman and Wonder Woman working together to put together a team of metahumans. Because Steppenwolf, a big old computer-generated pile of pixels, has arrived on Earth. And he's ready to take over the planet and transform it into the, what does Wonder Woman say? The hellish landscape of apocalypse or something
Also,
crazy
real
like that.
quick, is this the third DC movie about terraforming?
Yeah.
That's what bad guys do.
They just changed the planet.
I don't know what bad guys you're thinking of, but they
see,
terraform.
They're building up to this whole, like in Justice League like 6, the villain is a guy named Terrorformer. And he's trying to turn the whole entire universe
This is
into
Terror-Form.
Terror-Former.
It's actually XX Terraformer XX. It's his MySpace
And
profile.
it's actually a Transformers crossover.
It's actually going to be really cool.
Terrorformers. The
Look for
Last
that
Night.
in 2029.
But yeah, so that's Justice League without ruining the lives of people that are in line buying tickets. At
Respectfully
this
so.
wonderful
Respectfully
theater.
so.
So now we can start going through this movie.
Yeah.
So I want to open up with how this movie opens up, which is an iPhone recording from probably a 10-year-old filming Superman, Man of Steel, sometime before he died. We're
Yeah.
not sure when.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Hey, Superman, what's your favorite thing about Earth?" and not only, because I can understand Superman being that like, "Hello, kids," like
Yeah.
that's pretty typical Superman.
yeah.
But honestly, the first shot of the movie, I was like, "What's wrong with Superman's face?"
Dude, his mouth was disturbing.
I don't know what was that. I mean, I know that. So he had a mustache
Yeah.
that he was contractually obligated
to keep for
to keep for Mission Impossible, right?
I researched
Was
that.
it Mission Impossible?
They
Okay.
filmed the new Mission Impossible.
Well, thanks, Mission Impossible spoiler. I guess he has a mustache.
I didn't want to know that. That was the twist of the movie.
I wanted to find out on my own.
Yeah, so that's it was actually for reshoots. So like they shot the whole movie. He was clean shaven, grew just a gnarly stash for Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And then for reshoots, which they did earlier in 2017, like mid 2017, he was rocking just that full on mouth brow for Mission Impossible.
Is that why during the middle scenes of the movie he looked relatively normal?
Yes.
Because I was waiting to be disturbed at that point, and then
Yeah, there were certain scenes that he looked. It looked like in a video game when your game lags,
When it's
like
glitching.
a line comes down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ooh, it like rippled his face. Yeah, it was so
Yeah.
weird. So, and then not only does this scene, it had a little bit of like a. It felt a little bit like Spider-Man: Homecoming to
I would
me.
say it felt a lot of bit like Spider-Man:
Yeah.
Homecoming. I think that this scene probably was birthed because it was clearly a reshoot because of the lip.
Yeah.
So my guess is since it was added so late, the thought was like, hey, you know what a good way to just start the movie right is? Remind them of another movie that they definitely liked better than this movie.
By association, they'll be like, I don't know why, but I love this scene.
So far, this is great.
Well, and to me, the worst part of that scene is it does not come back at all in the
No,
movie.
there's
Never
no
once.
payoff for that.
There's no reference
He
to
literally, the kid's literally like, Superman, what's the greatest thing about Earth? And Superman like puts his fist on his hip,
Smiles.
looks off to the left,
And then the movie
they-
begins.
And he's
movie
about
starts.
to answer, and they cut, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, at some point in the movie, he's going to be like, what's my favorite thing about Earth? The hope that I see in humans.
Or the,
My
like the
naked
people.
lip.
Something.
Or just like churros. Man, I can't get enough of those
He's like,
cinnamon sugar babies.
How about those chimichangas? Bob Ross, am I right?
But it literally doesn't come back to the movie.
Yeah,
like
yeah, never once.
There's no purpose.
There's
in
no
it.
reference. There's no callback. Nothing.
And to me, I left wondering, what does he love about Earth?
yeah.
But we're
And
never
that's
gonna-
why I
we're
give this
never
movie a
gonna know.
-2. No, I'm just kidding.
So we go from there into essentially maybe 5-minute snippets of every Justice League member.
Yeah.
And either introducing them to us for the first time or kind of introducing to what they're doing now.
Like vibing on 'em
this
a little
movie
bit.
absolutely crawls through the first 45 minutes because they have to go through and set up all of these. They have to like begin these character arcs that should have taken place in movies
Yeah.
before this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Like there's a reason we don't start Avengers in the 1940s with Steve like doing his super soldier thing, and then we don't immediately cut to Tony being abducted by terrorists.
yeah,
Like,
we've
like,
had set up for
the
these
groundwork
people.
has been laid,
We already
exactly.
care about them.
Well, and
oh yeah, you go ahead.
No.
No.
What I was thinking about on the way home was they kind of tried to do what Black Panther was in Civil War,
Yeah.
which is bringing a character that's going to have a solo film later, but bringing him
Right.
into the mix now.
But they tried to do it with like 4 different people.
They tried to do
Yeah.
4 different main characters.
Yeah.
It's
Black
every
Panther was
character.
not the main character. of
Correct.
the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
He was kind of just on the side, like, who is this guy? Like,
Yeah.
we don't know anything about him, but we know enough to know that he has a vendetta against Bucky.
Yeah.
But that's like saying we've never met Iron Man before, but let's introduce
He's
him
gonna
in
lead
Civil
it.
War.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
Well, but it would also be like if Avengers was the 4th movie that Marvel made.
yeah.
Introducing barely any characters in those 4. But what
Yeah.
I will say is, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it right now, my super pump is actually the first like 8 minutes of this movie.
it the
after
Batman opening?
It's just it's kind of everybody's opening. I thought was pretty cool, like a good introduction to a lot of the people. But specifically Batman's opening, just on
Yeah.
that rooftop, just when kind of the old Danny Elfman theme played, and it. You know, he was across the way standing on essentially a gargoyle.
Yeah.
I did for a moment. I had a moment where I was like, are they going to do it? Like, are they finally going to get this right? And
Spoilers.
they don't, but that opening scene was just very cool.
Yeah, it
And
felt
so-
like a
You saw
live
his
action-
reflection.
Yeah.
His reflection in the window, and he's
and
on the gargoyle.
I don't know if
just
it's a
like-
good or a bad thing that from the
intense.
opening scene, because of it, I was really expecting to like that movie because I think what that did is, despite my best efforts in that opening scene, it really skyrocketed my hopes.
Yeah.
No,
And,
I took it as this is going to be another cool scene of Batman.
Yeah.
That's not going to go
Not
into
gonna
any
pay
part
off.
of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm just a dreamer, I guess.
But So I want to talk about each one of their openings.
Yeah.
So I thought Batman's opening started really well. It felt like Arkham Knight. It felt like Arkham City.
Yeah, 100%.
It
It
felt
definitely
like
did.
that's Gotham.
Yeah.
And that's
I thought they nailed Gotham. That's exactly right.
Gotham was great, and Batman just being terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And just this, like you said earlier, like there's just that shadow that you're like, he's behind me right now.
Yeah.
Like I know he's behind me right now.
Yeah.
But the fight scene continues. He starts beating up on this just kind of random criminal, I think. And was his goal to invoke fear to the criminal?
Yeah, he was using that guy as bait.
Yeah, to draw the parademon.
To draw the parademon.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's drawing the parademon, and then he basically jumps on the parademon, has a fight in flight,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're going around. And literally in that moment, I thought Bruce Wayne's about to wake up somewhere.
It's gonna be a dream
This
sequence.
is going to be a dream sequence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's flying around, and I'm like, gosh, he's going to wake up on a desk somewhere, and I'm gonna leave this movie.
Just another. Just one of those.
These movies have conditioned us to believe that.
Yeah, they have.
Yes, I have BVS PTSD.
BVSD.
And honestly, when he didn't wake
Post-traumatic
up,
stress
I was
disorder.
like lost for a second. I was like, wait, what? I'm not tracking
this
with
is
the
real?
plot.
Yeah.
By the way, did we stop and mention that Alamo Drafthouse gave us face tattoos, which
Oh,
were
yeah.
super.
By the way, when I woke up this morning, I looked in the mirror, and my first thought, as it is every day, is, dude, you got some bland cheeks. Like, those are boring. Nothing's going on. Like, who cares about those suckers? But let me tell you something. Drafthouse hooked it up. And so now I'm dope.
Superman, Teardrop. That's an ode to Suicide Squad's Joker. I almost wrote damaged on my forehead as well.
Yeah.
If you guys are watching, if you're watching the video feed, you may notice that I don't have a face tattoo, and that's because this is not a joke. I'm allergic. My skin, I really am. My skin is very sensitive. It's like a pristinely oiled machine, and even
being
one grain of
serious?
sand. I'm dead serious. This is not a joke.
You had a rough childhood, didn't you?
Yeah, it was really hard.
How did you go to carnivals?
I didn't. I never celebrated.
What are those?
A Colonel who?
So this is a show about the Justice League, ostensibly.
So, any more thoughts about Batman before we go to the next?
Lots,
I loved
let's go.
that opening scene of Batman.
Yeah.
I don't love Batman throughout the rest of this movie.
No,
Yeah.
he. Are we going to stay on Batman, or do we want to go through the rest of the opening
Yeah, so let's
scenes?
go to the next opening.
Okay.
So now we go to Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, who there is is it an art gallery, a museum?
It's a museum, I think.
Museum, and these terrorists.
Or was it a bank?
Well,
I'm
was a
not
building.
sure.
with people.
And
It was
he
a
wanted to
building.
blow up 4 blocks. Is
Yeah.
what they said, right?
And he was like, and it's going to change the
He goes,
world.
we're going back to the Dark Ages. I was like, guys, it's 4 blocks. I don't think they thought this through.
bomb.
We're destroying 4 blocks and we're sending the entire world back to the Dark Ages. I was like, is this their leader?
Those are for load-bearing blocks on society.
so. Just they were expecting just a drop in the
insane, like,
city is my only guess.
precision.
He's never left
terrorism.
Paris. He does not know geography.
We are given in this moment a Wonder Woman that for some reason is more Batman than Batman is.
Yes.
She's like scoping it out, and she's doing like reconnaissance, and she's up in the rafters. And as soon as she dropped that lasso and pulled up to the ceiling,
Yeah.
I out loud was like, "Oh, you got to be kidding
Yeah,
me!"
that's
Yeah,
Batman.
that's
for
Batman.
sure.
Yeah.
And they were just like, "Let's let
And
Wonder
not
Woman
only
take
was
that
she
instead."
Batman, but then she was Flash.
She was everything.
Which
She is the
I'm
Justice
sorry.
League, though.
When did she have super speed? Like, I get that she's fast.
Well, here's
But
another thing
You
that
realize she blocked a machine
If
gun.
you remember, though, from
every
her,
shot.
Every shot.
Every shot.
And it
Solo
wasn't,
films.
and I can see her blocking. Like, she has great reflexes.
Yeah.
I can get on board with that.
But she was like moving
No,
across.
the camera went super slow motion. The only thing that we're missing is electricity
Well,
going everywhere.
and
If you'll remember
that's-
from her solo film, though, Wonder Woman's greatest superpower is the ability to do whatever the plot.
Yeah, whatever the story
requires
needs
of her.
Wonder Woman to do at that
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
that's what she's gonna. Well, and that's actually something that I'm gonna give a dump right now. It's not my super dump, but I'm gonna give a dump right now.
Yeah.
The powers in this movie are the most inconsistent thing that I've seen.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody's greatest strength is whatever is necessary in the moment, even if that's not
Yeah.
really in their like repertoire of things
Yeah.
that they should be good at.
Yeah.
And for instance, I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about it right now. The scene with the Amazons. This DC universe just can't decide if the Amazons all have superpowers or if it's just Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Because there's an entire army of Amazonian women who are not Wonder Woman, that are jumping like a quarter mile out into this field and blocking bullets and doing these insane feats of strength, and then 2 seconds later get crushed to death by a horse when they were just holding like a boulder a second ago. So there's just no consistency. I get changing things to change things, but when you're just like, right now though, I don't think that's what we're gonna do. You can't build a universe like that.
Yeah. And I think we're actually approaching my super dump for this movie.
Okay. Do you want to get there now, or do you want to wait on it?
Let's talk about. Are we going to talk about the Amazons? We're going to talk about that scene.
Yeah. Is the next opening? Isn't it Flash?
Did it jump to Flash already at that point?
I think so.
Okay.
I think they gave everybody an opening first.
Let's talk about Flash.
So Flash's opening, I'm actually kind of forgetting.
It's him going.
Is it just him with his
It's
dad?
just him with his dad. Yeah, it doesn't
yeah.
even show powers, I don't
It
think.
doesn't?
Not that I remember.
No, he draws really fast on that guy's face.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
That
was funny.
I did laugh at that.
I think the Flash.
Except why was there no lightning?
The Flash gets like 1/10 of a pump from me because
And then 9/10 of
and then
a
9/10 of a dump because like literally 1 out of every 10 jokes that the Flash did
I completely agree.
landed for me.
I completely agree. There were a couple times I was like, nice. And then the rest, not so much.
I actually really like the Flash. I'm going to give a pump in the Flash.
So this is your favorite
Okay.
movie?
Is your favorite movie of all time?
I'm going to go out and say it, guys. No, I like the Flash because the way that I looked at him was almost like a sociopath,
Sorry, you're thinking of the
Asperger's.
Joker. That's my fault.
No. So, someone who has like Asperger's who does not understand social situations.
It
because
did
people are
seem
so slow.
It did seem as though they really wanted us to understand that like socially he didn't really mesh with people very well.
Yeah, it felt like they were just like, have you guys seen Community? This is
This
our
is Abed. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Well, and it also felt like they were like, but have you also seen Civil War? Because it's also kind of, it's like if Abed was Spider-Man.
Yeah. But I think I enjoyed that, and I liked that character development, and I struggle to say character development. I liked the idea of
Step
him,
one.
of him being every aspect of him being fast.
Yeah.
Not just his
No, I
speed.
get that.
And
but
like his
people are just
metabolism, how he has to
slow.
eat all the
Yeah.
time.
When
Yeah,
he
I
said
like
he
that.
was a black hole for snacks, and then said he was a snack hole, I did laugh.
That was
Yeah,
very
that's
funny.
I did giggle.
Yeah.
Like straight up, no joke, giggled.
Yeah.
So that's Flash. Let's go on to Cyborg.
Okay.
I have a huge problem with Cyborg's
Same.
introduction because Cyborg's introduction is him just like standing in his hoodie and you can see like the electronic components of him glowing underneath.
In the chest.
Because we
But-
saw him in BVS.
That's
and
exactly what I'm
trailer.
saying. That scene in BVS where he gets his powers from the mother box, that belongs in this movie
Yep.
because this movie should be Cyborg's arc.
Yeah.
Like should be Cyborg getting
It should be
tra-
Hulk from Avengers.
transformed against his will by this mother box
Yeah.
and then having to deal with like, no, I have to go in again. I have to interface with the mother box again. Spoilers
Yeah.
to defeat Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he should have been a more central role.
Yeah.
And I thought we should have seen him really, like, I think they gave it to us a little bit, but disconnected from society,
Yeah.
depressed,
Yeah.
and then realizing he is the key.
Yeah.
And this happened not on purpose, but at least there's a purpose behind it. There's a
Imagine
reason
an
behind
alternate-
it, and he
an
can save
al-
the day.
Yeah.
An
No, I would
alternate
get that.
universe in which Superman doesn't die at the end of BVS, and this movie is Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and Aquaman fighting Steppenwolf and the Parademons, and he realizes that he is like they're unable to do that, and then all the while they're getting another blip of the same kind of energy signature as the Mother Box, and like crap, we've got to go find who we now know to be Cyborg,
Yeah.
and we've got to convince him to help us.
Yeah.
Well, so here's another big thing for me, and it's since we brought up Steppenwolf, I will just go ahead and say it. Besides the CGI, obviously we could touch on that all day.
Yeah.
It's the CGI is kind of part of my overarching super dump for this movie, but I'll get there eventually. But Steppenwolf as a character, his whole thing seemed to be. I left and then decided that I would one day come back when like darkness reigned supreme. So he waited until Superman died for darkness to reign supreme.
Yeah.
My question is, if this battle was thousands of years ago, why didn't he just show up before Superman ever existed in the first place?
Yeah,
why
yeah.
did he wait until like the year and a half where Superman operated on Earth? Then he died to be like, now it's dark enough.
He was
Yeah.
about to go.
And then Superman,
and then
he was like,
Mandarin
oh,
came, he was like,
I was ready. I packed a lunch. I packed a lunch and everything. I was ready. I got grapes. I had grapes ready.
I was confused while we're on Steppenwolf. Is that Steppenwolf?
Steppenwolf.
Like
Steppenwolf.
Like
stepping up.
stepping on a wolf.
Okay. So Steppenwolf. I was confused on why he kept calling Mother
Those are mother boxes. That's what they're called.
I get that, but
so Darkseid is a mom.
I was asking,
Yeah.
is Darkseid a woman?
What do we know about this DC universe? Mothers reign supreme.
Yeah.
Moms are the only important thing.
All these
If your
Martha
mom-
boxes in this movie.
Yeah, they originally were called Martha boxes, but they had to change it because that's stupid.
Because he was always like, "I'm coming to you, mother," and I was like, "Is that Darkseid?"
I think he is.
Yeah,
I
it was-
genuinely think he's talking about Darkseid.
No, I think he's talking about the boxes themselves.
Well,
I
he's trying to
didn't get it.
unleash apocalypse.
He
through
is,
through
but
Darkseid.
like to make Darkseid proud or something.
Also,
it's just
can
like
we talk about
his mommy
the
proud.
one reference to Darkseid, which by the way, Mother Boxes, Parademons, all of this stuff is Darkseid's
Yeah,
MO.
and it just
the
swaps
only
them all
reference
out.
is one word
when he says for Darkseid.
for Darkseid, and
Darkseid.
it's like a whisper as a scene is ending. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
like, and I'm evil. Also for Darkseid though. Don't forget for Darkseid.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's keep going.
Cyborg, and then we have Aquaman. And Aquaman's first scene was
I
it?
hear
think
it.
It's
was-
when it's when
it was
Bruce
Batman
goes.
Bruce
going
goes,
to
yeah.
I have a
find
huge
Aquaman.
issue with this scene.
So he goes to find Aquaman. He goes into a small bar in a local town where he knows that Aquaman helps these people in the dead of winter when they can't find food.
I thought it was a church.
I'm pretty sure it's not.
I thought it was. They had like a stage and like a steeple type setup. I don't know.
I
Maybe
think it was
not.
karaoke night.
Karaoke night at the church.
Aquaman's a youth pastor, basically, in this movie.
Aquaman's a youth pastor. That's good. That's
Aquaman's a
funny.
youth pastor, is that what you said?
But yeah, in this scene, continue with your.
So he goes in and he says, "I'm looking for his name. What's his name in real life?"
He doesn't say
Arthur.
his name at that point.
Yeah,
though.
he
does.
He doesn't.
He
I don't
just
think
says, "I'm looking for
Arthur.
a man that helps you." I know there's a
He
man that
comes in
brings
a
you
king
fish.
tide. He
His
brings
name's Arthur
fish
Curry,
when
but he
people
doesn't
are
say that
hungry.
yet.
He comes, he brings you fish, and then you see Aquaman, and again, we feel like everybody in the DC universe should look at the eyes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and be able to tell.
He's weird.
I'm
That's a
thinking.
weird- well, also
something over here.
the 6'5" giant, full of muscles, long black hair, tattooed all over the place, kind of looks like he crawled out of the ocean. It's like, which one of you swims?
Yeah.
And then I'll go ahead and get to a dump
Yeah.
on this scene right here, right now, which is Batman should already know who he is.
Yes.
Yep.
Especially because he's already seen footage of him. We have watched him seen footage that show his face.
That's so true.
And still, we've
I
already
didn't
seen
even
that
think about
happen.
that.
And he's still like, which one? And then he turns around and sees like a cave drawing on the inside of this building for some reason.
He's
like,
As
"You don't
though
think
they're in
that."
and he
Could
literally
it
turns
be?
and he's like, wait, are you? No. That's stupid. I'm not
But-
even going to say
Yeah.
it.
But you're on land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the most confusing thing.
Let's even assume best case scenario that we're supposed to watch this and infer that Batman is bluffing or otherwise trying to stay undercover.
It's never revealed
It's
to
still
us.
not communicated.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and it goes actually very well in the story that they created, which is Batman is not smart.
Yeah, Batman's
no,
so dumb in these movies.
He's a brawler, he's a fighter, but he is not a detective. He is not
No.
intellectual. He's constantly behind.
Yeah.
and that happens multiple times in this movie.
falls under my super dump. My super dump is kind of a large umbrella for this movie, and it's really more just a super dump on the DCEU in general.
Was your super dump not the mustache?
No, my super dump is not the mustache.
Oh,
I thought it was
okay.
going to be the mustache, but
The mush-lack,
I'll
more
go
like
ahead and
it.
share my super dump so that it's a little more so it's easier to understand.
Okay.
So for this movie, and really just kind of for the DCEU in general, here's my super dump, and it's something that I've thought about a lot with these movies, and this movie really, Justice League specifically, cemented it for me, and it is the fact that with a company like Warner Brothers and DC combining together, with the budget that these movies have, with the resources and the people that they have access to,
Yeah.
with the skill sets and the writers and the musicians, with the graphics artists, with computer engineers, with all these different things and the amount of money in these companies' wallets, there is no excuse on earth for how awful these movies are.
Yeah.
There just isn't. There is no reason. I have seen better CGI green screen backgrounds in SNL skits than in parts of this movie, and that is not a joke.
Yeah,
I
it's
have seen
rough.
better looking SNL skits. I have heard better dialogue writing in off-brand Disney Channel original movies. I have seen better acting. When you have access to the entire DC back catalog, and Grant Morrison was thanked in the credits for this movie.
Yeah.
He's one of the most prolific Batman writers of modern day. Clearly, he wasn't consulted on this movie because this was like a DC movie written by somebody who's never seen any of these characters
Even
before.
if they have Grant's thoughts.
Yeah.
They're not going to make it in the final movie. He had Christopher Nolan producing Man of Steel. We have to remember that. And that didn't,
Christopher Nolan was credited as an EP on this too.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
But he didn't. You know, he didn't touch it. It was just
Yeah.
because he touched the beginning.
Yeah, I think
so. It's just throughout
I
the
think
whole thing.
their
It's a
game plan
contract.
right now is to just
I think it's
be
so they
like,
can say the producer that brought you
Yeah.
the Dark Knight
It absolutely
trilogy.
is.
Yeah.
It absolutely
Oh,
is.
my
They would
goodness.
literally be like, the guy who worked the craft service table at Dark Knight, he gave them ham. He gave ham to Christopher Nolan.
Well, and I feel like, kind of, to talk about your super dump, I feel like Man of Steel, BVS, and Wonder Woman were the foundational blocks
Yeah.
that they set for this universe.
I agree.
And this is the first block that they put on top and said, like, look how cool this block is. And we're going high. We're going Shazam. We're going Green Lantern.
Yeah.
We're doing all of these things. And it's just like you set a terrible foundation.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I can't
Yeah.
even look up and not see you've made Batman an idiot.
Yeah.
And I feel like this movie was like, ready for more Batman? And I'm like,
No, not at all.
Please
Yeah.
give me another one. Please
Yeah.
give me a different one.
Yeah.
I love Ben
Let's
Affleck.
start
I
that
love the
over.
costume. But
Yeah.
you need to fix this foundation. And so they made Wonder Woman
Yeah.
Batman.
They made Wonder
her-
Woman everybody.
They made her lead the Justice League.
Wonder Woman took over everyone's jobs, I think,
Yeah.
in this movie.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I say there's so much that can fall under my super dump because the umbrella is so large. But that's another aspect of like they clearly either forgot to add things to Batman and Superman, or in my opinion, and my best bet is they saw that Wonder Woman being the leader is going to draw the biggest crowd. And I genuinely don't have a problem with flipping things around. If they want to make Wonder Woman the leader of the Justice League for newness sake, that's absolutely fine with me. But don't make Batman an idiot and Superman not inspire as much hope.
Yeah.
Just like let her lead with her own skill set that we know she has, that we have seen her possess.
yeah.
And just so we don't have to go here anymore, there's a scene where Wonder Woman and Batman, as Diana and Bruce are walking in the park, and they're talking about getting Cyborg, and then you see
Yes.
Cyborg in the corner of the tree watching their conversation.
Yes.
And then Diana has a conversation with Cyborg via computer, and she says, "I saw you in the. I
saw you by the lake, yeah.
I saw you there."
That should have been Batman.
That is 100% Batman, and Batman would have been like, "What?
yeah.
What?
There
You
was
were
a-
behind us?"
We were
Yeah.
by a lake.
In this universe, Batman is basically Dr. McPunchface. Like he's just a billionaire who punches things hard.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have taken away everything else that makes him Batman. He is a murdering idiot who punches things, and that is our new Batman. Congratulations, DC.
So let's keep our slow and painful crawl through the plot of this movie
Yeah.
because at this point the movie's been on for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so, is the next one an introduction to the villain and Amazon?
Yeah, so let's
Yeah.
just it may
Let's
be
blow through that.
an exercise in futility to try and attack this chronologically. Let's talk
It-
about
it-
that.
the whole movie was kind of a crawl.
Let's talk about that flashback.
Flashback.
with the Amazons and the Granterns
Oh my goodness.
and the Atlanteans.
Yeah.
So we see kind of Steppenwolf's big giant debut on Earth. And he is fought back by an army of Atlanteans, an army of humans, an army of Amazons,
How do we not remember that?
and an army of Granterns and
How
other
is
heroes.
that not history for us?
Yeah.
Do they have the Men
Yeah.
in Black memory erasers?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great point. I didn't even think about that. If humans took part,
Yeah.
Yeah, how do
I
we
think it
not
was
know
like a group of Vikings, and that's it.
can we talk about also how hardcore Lord of the Rings that burying the box scene was, by the
Yeah,
way?
yeah.
Just with the crowns and all. It was just like,
Yeah.
it's Aragorn. It's not Aragorn, but like it's basically Aragorn.
Yeah. So we see this scene, and we get that fun little Easter egg to the Grantern Corps.
And we all know how subtle Zack Snyder's Easter eggs
Which
are.
at first I was like, okay, cool, there's Granterns. But then my thought becomes, when we see Steppenwolf attack again in present day, we know from watching the Ryan Reynolds masterpiece,
Which we loved.
which we all loved very much,
Yeah.
not just Jordan. We know that there's a Grantern whose job is to protect the Earth,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the sector of the galaxy that contains
Well,
the
just
Earth.
because we know what Granterns are, we know that there's a Grantern that protects
Where
the Earth.
is that Grantern?
When
during the-
Doomsday,
Yeah.
when the Kryptonians attacked a Man of Steel, when Steppenwolf is here in this movie.
And not only were there Green Lanterns or a Green Lantern, there were Green Lanterns
Yeah.
fighting Steppenwolf.
There were at least
Yep.
two.
There's at least two that we saw, and they were like,
Yeah.
even warriors from other galaxies came to help us. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, cool. Green Lantern's going to come and have a cameo at the end of this movie, but he's nowhere to be found,
Yeah.
which means there's no way they're going to try
You
and
know
tie
what
a
it
bow on
was?
that.
No.
They can't.
Hal was late because he's such a bad
Late
boy.
He's such a bad boy.
That's- Never mind. We
Typical
figured it
Hal.
out.
Typical
All right,
Hal.
killed it, Zach.
All right.
Yeah,
So
you
that-
got, you
and
got
then-
us on that one.
So I don't remember if we cut from that to Steppenwolf attacking on Themyscira
But
to
we
get the
might as
mother
well
box.
cut there.
But let's talk about that
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, so the giant mother box, they're like, it's been dormant for thousands of years, and now it's starting. And so we have all of the Amazons ready. And I like that. They're like ready to fight.
Yeah, I guess my thing still comes back to like an arrow shooting a metal box. Okay, fine.
It's true.
Yeah.
I thought that scene had some really cool, like, gymnastics.
It had cool action.
Yeah.
But this is so I'm gonna go ahead and I teased it earlier with a trailer for my super dump. This is my super dump on this movie is the Amazons as a whole, Wonder Woman in particular.
Yeah.
The way that they are filmed and the way that they are costumed is so much more overtly sexualized
Yeah,
than it
I have
was
a
in
real
Wonder
problem
Woman.
with
That's my super.
Is it
dump.
really?
Yep.
Oh my
Super
gosh.
D dump.
Hit it right here.
Is that that's
It's not my super dump, but I have a very serious
Yeah.
problem
It's just
with
a
it.
super duper dump.
Yeah.
The elusive super D duper dump
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
coming. Which is
I
all
mean,
wanna read
technically,
here.
it kind of does fall under my umbrella, but
So to be
the
clear,
whole movie does.
for
Jordan
brevity's
dumped
sake,
the
your
whole
super
movie.
dump is the DCEU.
Kind of.
Okay.
Essentially.
Yeah, just so we're all clear.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like, I couldn't help but notice. And then there's a pretty popular image on the internet of like a group shot of the Amazons from Wonder Woman and a group shot of the Amazons from this movie.
Yeah.
And in Wonder Woman, they're wearing like full armor and they look like gladiators and warriors and they're like beautiful, strong women. And then the Amazons in this movie are wearing like halter tops
Slave
and
layer
really
bikinis.
short
Yeah.
skirts.
Like from
and,
Star Wars.
When I felt
Yeah.
like Wonder Woman the movie did well because we talked about it, it was empowering.
Yeah.
I thought it could have been more empowering, but it was an
Yeah.
empowering movie, and it wasn't. Come see this movie because look how hot Wonder Woman is.
Yeah, it
was, no,
wasn't.
we're not going to sexualize her.
Yeah.
We're going to show that she's powerful, that she's compassionate, that she has heart, and that she's going to do the right thing. Like
Yeah.
she's going to be the heroine of this movie.
And I think
Absolutely.
that's something this movie really, really did a disservice to Wonder Woman on.
I agree.
Is like everything, like it seems like their first priority in filming Gal Gadot
Yeah.
and in costuming her was we have to make sure first that she's sexy.
Yeah.
Second, that she's a compelling character.
I agree.
And honestly, I don't think it's a disservice to Wonder Woman. And I'm sorry to go here, but I think it's a disservice to women
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
every scene she was in where she was just Diana, she had massive cleavage showing.
Yeah.
They sexualized her in multiple scenes.
Yeah.
And honestly, what that does to the audience is we don't pay attention to what she's saying.
Yeah.
The average guy is like, "Pff, look how
It
good she
devalues
looks."
and objectifies her.
It objectifies
Yeah.
her. And it not only does it objectify her, it completely smashes everything that they did in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that happened is because Wonder Woman had a female director and a female costume
Yeah,
designer.
I agree.
And this one had a male director and a male costume designer.
Yeah.
And I think that is just something that they're like,
Well-
oh, we want to see how hot Wonder
For
Woman
me,
is.
I don't have as much of a problem with Wonder Woman when she's Diana being sexy.
Yeah.
For me, it's more just the idea of like these Amazons, Wonder Woman included, their armor has a purpose, especially
Yeah.
for the ones that aren't Wonder Woman. They're not invulnerable.
Yeah.
They need armor. And so the fact that they're like unrealistically running around in like early 2000s video game female character level armor
Yeah.
Yeah.
is like, really?
Yeah.
After what we just saw, you're going to do that? Honestly?
I feel like they didn't know why Wonder Woman did well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like they were
I
like,
feel like they don't
people
know why
liked
any of
that,
their
like,
movies do well.
Well,
They
they
were beautiful,
probably
right?
didn't ask, what's her face? Patty
Jenkins.
Yeah, they probably didn't ask Patty Jenkins, like, hey, how should these costumes look? They're just like, let's just do our own thing.
Yeah.
We got it.
We got-
sexy.
I think that's Zack Snyder's favorite sentence to say is, we
We
got
got
it.
it. No,
Christopher
we know what
Nolan's
we're
like,
doing.
hey, have you ever thought of maybe not having Superman kill Zod? And he goes, we got it.
I think we can take care of that.
And Christopher Nolan's like,
So-
who's we? And Zach's like, me and me.
So
got it.
we are just bogging down in this movie because there's so much to dump on.
Yeah, there really
Let's
is.
talk about, so we're about 45, 50 minutes into the movie. Our story can actually begin. We have the story of the Justice League versus the Steppenwolf.
Sure. Fine.
yeah.
So what, take us through
The first scene where they fight
the first
Steppenwolf,
scene where they fight
they
Steppenwolf.
get Barry, who says, I'm going to be in the Justice League right away. Like
That scene was great.
No convincing.
That scene was great.
Yeah.
Where he meets Barry Allen for the first time. So it's him, Batman, Flash, and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So three of them go to fight Steppenwolf for the first time. Aquaman said, I work alone.
Yeah.
It's better that I'm alone.
Is Cyborg not with him at that point?
No.
Cyborg is.
He is
but
with them.
But he comes.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about like in the sewer?
In the
Yeah.
sewer,
Okay, I'm tracking with you.
Because they don't fight him before that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
No.
the sewer scene's maybe like an hour into this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
And
And, it's
so
like the
Cy-
first thing.
Cyborg came into play because they took his dad.
Yeah.
So that's where
That's how they got him.
His
His-
motivation
They took his
comes,
dad Martha
which I'm cool
and
with
made him
that.
They
angry.
took, they took Dad Martha.
I'm cool
Martha.
with that because we're gonna get to Aquaman, and I don't think they had a conviction for Aquaman coming in. The team.
Well, my frustration with the Aquaman, the whole Aquaman thing is, first of all, when he says like I work alone,
yeah.
he never really gives a reason. He's just like I work alone and it's better that way. I'm gonna jump in the ocean now. And Batman's like, I did just say it's like a world threat. And Aquaman's like, see ya.
Aquaman literally says, "The oceans rise a little bit. It's okay by me." And Batman goes, "What if they boil?"
And he still goes,
Aquaman goes, "Swim, swim, 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 swim."
And then can we talk about the scene in Atlantis real quick?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
So when Aquaman is on his way to Atlantis, which did they ever really clarify why he's going to Atlantis? Anyway,
No.
So he goes to Atlantis. There's a mother box in Atlantis. And
Yeah, so they were divided up like the rings at the beginning of the
really.
Lord of the Rings.
Atlantis.
Nine were given to the
Themyscira,
elves.
and Earth.
And Earth.
Yep.
And so he goes. The Atlantis mother box is doing its weird thing, about to open up a boom tube for Steppenwolf to show up in with some parademons, which he does.
It opens the portal from Thor.
Yeah,
I was about to say, it looks like
Heimdall
the,
sends.
it does. It does. It
it,
absolutely
looks
does.
like, it looks exactly like the portals
Bifrost.
from Spyro the Dragon.
Yeah.
Those
I
little
mean,
spirally
that's
things.
kind of what the boom tubes look like, even in the comics. But so there is kind of this moment where when Aquaman shows up, and what is it, Mara or Mara?
Mara.
So Mara is there. Don't even know why she's in this movie.
Authoritarily,
Don't-
not knowing if he was correct.
Don't know why she's cast in this movie. And look, I got nothing against Amber Heard in general, I guess, but that was the easiest paycheck anybody's ever made, is her spot in this movie, because I think that you could have picked a person off the street to do that scene.
And I don't know. To me, it was confusing to, I think, all of the audience. Do they know each other? Is this the first time they met?
I think it's the
Are they
first time. I
married?
thought
Are
like
they-
initially I
seemed
was like,
like the first time they
maybe
met.
it's a Simba Nala thing, like they were friends growing up, but like no, they've never
It
met.
really
before
seemed
right
like they had
now.
never
they
met
had
before.
they had a 2-minute scene where she
So
was like,
why did-
"Hey, you know, your mom helped with these boxes," and he was like, "My mom doesn't care about me."
No. It was the opposite. She goes, "You need to help with these boxes." He goes, "Probably not." She goes, "Your mom would have done it." He goes, "I need one thing. Trident." That's literally it. That's all it took to convince him.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that is a consequence of this movie trying to introduce so many main characters.
Yes.
They wanted to have Aquaman be the person that's like, "No, I work alone," and then have some huge plot turn that makes him say, "No, this is serious, and I need to be part of the team," even though that's not
Who does
I
that sound
am.
like? Who does "No, I work alone, wait, I should work with the team" sound like? There's a character dressed like a bat. He punches people.
I was gonna say Mr.
Batman.
Incredible,
Mr. Incredible. But
buddy.
go
I
home,
work
buddy.
alone.
you caught me monologuing.
But I think because this movie was already an hour in, and they're like, "We got to get Aquaman in this team."
Yeah.
Have a conversation with somebody who's like, "Your mom would have done it," and he's like, "Nah." All
Which
right.
again,
Moms.
if it doesn't just all boil down to moms, I don't know
And
what
I
else
think,
to tell you.
I think we're gonna touch on that later when we get to my super pump.
Oh.
We're gonna talk about moms and their influence on these heroes.
Moms and maybe either moms of moms, but
Yes.
we'll get there.
So at this point, Aquaman hasn't decided that he's coming back yet, and they have a scene where Steppenwolf has kidnapped several humans who he believes has access to where their mother box is hidden.
Yeah.
So he's interrogating them.
One
I
by
assume
one.
because of Cyborg.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they're all part of that
Because the
lab.
mother
Yeah.
box is
Because
on
they all work
the,
for Star
on the
Labs.
crashed Kryptonian ship.
So in that scene, Cyborg comes to rescue his dad. Flash is the first time that he really
Just save
realizes
one.
he's a hero.
Yeah,
He
I
saved
thought that
one
was
person.
cool.
I thought
I
it was
like
cool
that.
too.
Yeah.
What I wanted him to say, and it's okay, but I think it would have been more powerful if he kind of said, because he was like, "Just save one, and then you'll know what to do." I wish
Yeah,
he had
I
been
didn't
like,
like that.
I wish he'd been like, "Just save one, and then go save another, and
I
then
would-
go save another."
I
like,
was really waiting because Batman says, "Just save one," and then Barry says, "What next?" Batman says, "You'll know what to do." Infinitely more powerful if Barry says, "What next?" and Batman says, "Do it again."
yep, that's what I was wanting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, save
or
another.
he says, "Now what?" after he saves one person, and he says the same thing.
Yeah.
Save
Just
one.
save one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we have that scene, and I don't know how much you want to park in this scene. They're fighting the parademons, they're fighting Steppenwolf, Wonder Woman. They're kind of operating as a team, but you can still tell that they're not.
Overall, I thought it was actually a pretty cool action sequence.
It
So
was,
I
but
don't.
it suffered from a lot of the same things that the Suicide Squad action sequences were, which is that it happened until it didn't.
Yeah,
There
well, and it
wasn't a
was like a lot
ton
of
of
like
internal
one at a
momentum.
time fighting, like video
Yeah.
game boss style.
Well, and to me, there was a few scenes where we've talked about like powers are kind of picky and choosy when we
Yeah.
have them, when we don't. Because there's a scene where everything is getting flooded and they're rising up, and Batman, Flash, and Wonder Woman are holding on to this gigantic
the
tank,
Nightcrawler
Yeah.
or whatever it's called.
and they're just waiting. And I'm like, wait, doesn't Wonder Woman have like super jump?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can she
And
not
I
just
Super
just-
strength. She
I
can literally
jump
just climb up, pull them up, and then
Yeah,
jump
why
up
can't
with
she take
them.
Batman and say,
Why can't she
like,
do that thing
And
when she
Cyborg
punches
has
the
boosters.
walls? Remember when
Cyborg
she
has
punched the
boosters,
walls
yeah.
to get the sword?
Yeah, exactly.
In Wonder Woman?
And Flash could run up the wall.
Yeah.
So like in
Yeah, but his-
2.2
but his
seconds,
leg
they're
was
out.
hurt.
His leg
That's
was
fair,
hurt.
but even still, between Cyborg and Wonder Woman, each grab one and
It's
go.
true. And that's the
Just
thing, I
grab
think
one.
Just grab
these
one.
powers are plot dependent, and in that scene, we needed to feel like, oh my gosh, are they going to make it out?
Yeah.
And so the
All
powers
these
shut
characters
down.
that you just
And
met an hour ago, you
Unfortunately,
gotta care about.
and maybe this is just me, but the moment they were like, "What's above us again?" and it was like, "Gotham Bay." I was like, "No, so Aquaman's gonna
Aquaman.
save it."
Aquaman's gonna save the day,
Obviously,
yeah.
that's the only option here.
So Aquaman parts the Gotham Sea like Moses.
And I'll pump on Aquaman's individual scenes.
Yeah.
You know, if Zack Snyder can do one thing right, it's make a moment.
Yeah.
He has
Yeah.
3 really cool moments.
Yeah.
We saw them all in the trailer.
Yeah, we
So
did, actually.
That's okay. But he did have some really cool, artistic, beautiful moments where when that wave crashed and he's just standing there, I was like, that was
That was cool.
Dope.
Yeah, I very much liked it.
Yeah.
So let's move on from this sewer scene.
Yeah,
they
please.
get their justice butts handed to them
True.
by Steppenwolf. And so they realize that they have to
Steppenwolf.
resurrect Superman
Yeah.
using the power of a mother box.
I don't. Also, their line from A to B was so blurry for
I
me. There,
know. That was
it was
the
just
most
like
incredible
it was like,
logic leap.
Mother box, can control life. When things are dead, they don't have life. If we wanted to give a dead thing to life for it, Superman is dead. And it was like, let's get it. And
Yeah.
it made just no sense to me at all.
Well, in this scene is my super pump.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why,
Please
baby
tell me
birds. I'll
why.
feed you. So in this scene, Wonder Woman tells Batman, "You have to move on,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then he comes back to Wonder Woman and says, "You're telling me to move on? What about Steve Trevor?"
Yeah.
And then
Did
she
your boyfriend tell you
pushes
that?
him.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shoot!"
Yeah.
And he was like, and then and this is my super pump. He says, "Superman was a symbol of hope. How come I've never heard of you? You've been around for thousands of years. How come you haven't inspired somebody?"
They did kind of
It's
address.
because
Yeah.
you haven't moved on. So don't dare tell me, excuse me, if I'm not moving on. Something
Yeah.
that happened in my one lifetime. You've been around for thousands of years and you haven't moved on. And I was like, that is called a scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That is not a moment. That was equivalent to me of Age of Ultron when Captain America and Iron Man had that discussion
Yeah.
with cutting the
wood.
wood.
Yeah.
That was a scene
Yeah.
that not only gave emotional, just like passion,
Yeah.
but also character development. You understood where they're coming from.
Yeah.
It created friction, which you need in this movie, and
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
not fighting friction,
Yeah.
but emotional friction.
And
Right.
it services
And I thought it
the
was a
current
beautiful
narrative,
scene.
the current narrative, and the meta narrative of the whole universe.
Right.
That was very well done.
So that was my super pump for the movie.
Yeah.
Because that scene, I was like, they finally did a scene that had character development and that I was actually invested in.
Yeah. I thought when you said that it reminded you of something, I thought you were going to say it reminded you of the a file check. A file check.
a file check.
From was it Dark Knight Rises?
I filed you.
A file check. Playing with a ruby the size of
file
a
check.
tangerine.
So let's skip ahead to
Please.
the resurrection of Superman. Actually,
Yeah.
let's take a quick pit stop in Russia, where
Yeah.
Steppenwolf sets up shop.
Why?
And that's really to service kind of the overseas market. When released globally, this movie was called Justice League: One Russian Family's Very, Very Bad Day. And so that's where we get that kind of international title. It's got to play well to global markets. It can't. I mean, Justice League alone is not going to sell tickets. But if it's called Justice League: One Russian Family's Very, Very Bad Day, then people everywhere.
I was like, oh, Doge knows something I don't know about this. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That made me sweaty.
So that kind of like, I get that we're like trying to humanize and empathize with like the ground level mortals, but like overall, that just sucks for that family.
I think they just had to pick a wide open space so that Steppenwolf could destroy something without really destroying anything.
Sokovia. They
Yeah.
needed Sokovia.
it was
They
Sokovia.
needed to set up shop somewhere
Somewhere in Eastern Europe.
that Americans don't care about.
Like, what's that? I've never heard of Russia.
But yeah, so we meet that Russian family, and we kind of come back to that Russian well a couple of times. But now we're resurrecting Superman.
Yeah.
And Flash has to he has to energize the mother box at the exact moment it touches the amniotic fluid.
I dug it.
I thought that was really
was
cool.
great.
Yep, I thought that was dope.
I
That was
really
cool.
liked that. It was very comic booky. Of just like,
And I had a moment where I was like, he might not hit this in time.
Yeah.
And I think it was honestly the one scene in the movie where I was like, ooh, let's get it. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I love that after he touched it, he then went bonkers and like ran into the wall.
Yeah.
which I thought was
so
great.
perfect.
I love that.
I agree. I think it is. I think that is by far the most like comic booky scene that DC maybe has ever given us.
but I loved it.
I
And
didn't
it
know.
worked.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, and so he hits it, electrocution happens, and then you see Superman's eyes, you zoom in, and then his eyes open, and he flies up shirtless.
Yeah.
Thank God.
For just
He's shirtless for a while.
forever.
Yeah.
And I kept having that thought every time it would cut back to a scene with him. I'd be like, he's still not wearing.
Well, and he was in a suit, and only the top part was ripped off.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I
he
dug
just
it.
exploded out of his shirt.
I
So
was
Superman
into it.
Superman does the thing that DC seems to be convinced will make him interesting, which is wakes up angry and confused and then
goes crazy.
punches other superheroes.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's two things that I'm going to dump on in this scene. One, this brought nothing but confusion to BVS when the dirt float at the end of BVS.
because he was
He was
definitively
actually dead.
He was
'Cause
actually
that
dead.
dirt float at the end was like, oh, he's alive. He's tricking us. No, he was actually
or
genuinely
does
dead.
Does he have some resurrection type power internally within
Yeah.
him where he can
No.
come back? So
No.
they gave us that to be like, he's coming back, and yeah, forget about the dirt float. We're gonna do.
It makes no sense.
We're gonna do something
Yeah.
with these mother boxes.
Oh
So
my
that made
goodness.
no sense.
Yeah.
He wakes up angry, which I can kind of get that he wakes up confused, but in that fight scene, he has that conversation with Batman where he's like angry at Batman. He's like, let me ask you something. Do you bleed? And my question is, why is he mad at Batman?
Yeah,
Well,
he
if you
knows.
remember the specific line of "Do you bleed?" wouldn't you remember everything else that also
Yeah,
happened
that's
as
he
well?
saved your Martha.
he doesn't wake up with his mind wiped. He wakes up remembering the things that happened in BVS. And at the end of BVS, he decides to sacrifice himself, and then he wakes up mad at Batman that he
For
did
some
that.
reason.
Yeah.
And when Superman looked at Batman and said, "Do you bleed?" my eyes rolled so hard and so far back that I saw what I ate for dinner that night.
Did you catch? I leaned
Yeah.
over and like elbowed you
Yeah.
real hard on the ribs and was like, "Do you bleed? Do you bleed? Do you bleed?" And then Superman goes, "Do you bleed?"
Yep.
yeah.
It was awful.
It was just.
it didn't make sense.
I
I
did
dry.
not- I
I
did not
literally
care
just
for
like.
that.
But then I will give a pump on this scene where the Flash runs around to
Yep.
save the day, and he's running in slow motion, and then you
Superman-
see Superman's eyes, and you're in Flash's face like, oh
Oh
shoot.
no!
Yeah.
He can come as fast as me.
Oh, yeah.
that was the best.
No,
loved
so
that
I
scene.
loved that scene.
That
That's
was
a
great.
huge
Great.
pump
And then
from me.
that returns. There's an excellent callback to that when we meet up with our good Russian friends, and Batman and Flash race to save them. That was wonderful. And
You
even
meant Superman, but that's okay.
yeah, Superman and Flash. I'm sorry, race to save them, and that was great.
yeah.
And when they
And then
split off, that was dope.
even that first credit scene where
Yeah.
they're racing to the Pacific Coast.
That was cool.
It was
and that's
awesome.
typical
I love
comic
that.
book.
I
mean,
love
they've
that.
raced in so
I
many
love
movies.
that. I'm
so
gonna
many
I'm a
comic
pump
books.
to that.
That was
that
great.
3-beat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, I think Zack Snyder is such a comic book fan. There are so many things that happen in the comic books that he will allude to, or he will, keep great. But then obviously there's certain plot points he completely takes away. And
I think it's because he can't pick just one.
Yeah.
I think he's just like, I like this plot point and this plot point and this plot point, and I'll combine them, maybe not fully realizing that they're in separate stories for a reason.
yeah,
There's a purpose behind that.
Yeah. For example, you can't have Granterns in your flashback if you don't have a Grantern in your current.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
got to be some sort of continuity there.
Yeah. So Superman's resurrected. He's angry. He punches a whole bunch of heroes. He has a pretty brutal fight with a Wonder Woman at this point.
Ooh, headbutt fight.
Headbutt.
Yeah.
They headbutted back and forth 4 times.
Yeah.
It drove me crazy.
It was annoying.
But I will say this, for this whole fight scene, with everybody Superman like in front of the statues, if you throw it on mute, it looked awesome.
Yeah, it looked real cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Cavill's mustache was gone, like actually gone, not
because
CGI'd gone.
that
in
was always
scene.
planned to be part of
Yep.
the movie. So they shot that when they shot the rest of the movie. And
Yeah.
I did like it illustrates character growth in Batman when his plan to bring out the big guns this time, like when he first said that, when he was like, what if your plan
Thought it was
fails?
kryptonite?
I
Yeah.
thought it was kryptonite.
I
for
did
sure.
too.
And I loved that it was Lois.
I was actually caught off guard by that.
Yeah.
I will say. I was
good.
fully
Yeah, I was
expecting
very
Alfred
surprised
to
by that.
like for the Batwing to fly overhead and just like
Drop a kryptonite
Yeah, like rain
bomb or
down.
something.
Yeah.
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 So when
I
Lois
liked
got
it as
out, I
Lois.
was like, okay,
So
dope.
then he sees Lois, and she says, "Let's go." They
And she,
fly
well,
up.
but first she says Clark, 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 really loudly in front of a whole bunch of cops and like everybody else. So
Seriously.
She's like, "Clarperman."
Carperman?
Yeah.
That's what I call him.
So that's a dumb for me.
Yeah.
Lois was dumb there.
Well,
They-
and she says, or once they take off and fly, the first words out of her mouth when they land. You guys remember this?
What was it?
You smell good.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that was dumb.
You smell good.
That was dumb.
And I think there's no way that Zack Snyder wasn't like, oh, people are gonna melt.
Well,
People love romantic smells.
That's like a dumb for me is that the moment to moment dialogue in this movie in particular, but all the DC movies is pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie did the Marvel thing, which works for Marvel. It doesn't quite work when DC blatantly copies the like say a joke and then hold for laughs and then continue with the
Yeah,
story.
it really-
like there were so many
yeah.
times when the movie was accelerating and then it just like they pumped the brakes for a second, like, hey, laugh at what we just said. Okay, now let's go again.
Well, and I think I would even say that this movie and I think we kind of touched on it a little bit, but this movie really felt like DC was like, how do we make Avengers money, Avengers box office numbers, without putting in the work to get to our Avengers?
Yeah.
yeah.
Without building
I feel like
the
that's
stepping
that's
blocks.
the DCEU.
Yeah,
in general.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
One. So then he flies Lois to their old farmhouse.
Yeah.
And then she says, "I called your mom," and he says, "Oh, thank you so much."
Here we
and
go.
then her mom
Here
comes,
we go.
and then
Here
Jordan
we
lost
go.
his
We're
mind.
getting to my super
So
pump.
I've already used my super pump, and I feel a little bad for having already used it so
I'll-
early in the movie.
I'll super pump in memoriam.
But I will say this. This wasn't even a comedy movie, and I laughed harder at this one scene than I have laughed in a long time.
Yep.
A long time.
And it wasn't purposely.
It was not intentionally funny,
Tell
and
'em.
I felt
Tell 'em.
bad. I was with, you want me to say it?
Tell them what it is.
So there's a moment when Mrs. Kent asks
Martha.
Clark. Yeah, I'm sorry. I should use her given
Yeah.
name.
her given
Martha.
Christian name.
When Martha says, "What is it? Are you you? Are
Yeah.
you really you?
Is it really you?
Is it really
Yeah,
you,
Is
son?
it really you?" And Clark responds, "Yes, I'm really Meemaw."
Because obviously mothers play such a huge role in this cinematic universe. And Clark is like the mother of all
They're
mothers.
trying for him to say like
I'm
ma,
really,
like
I'm
he's
really
from,
me.
like mom
I'm
from
really
Kansas.
me, comma,
Ma,
ma.
but it just comes out. Yes, I'm really Meemaw.
So that is my super pump for this movie. That we have
It's just Meemaw.
that we have Mima of Steel joining the Justice League. I think that is the single greatest cinematic treasure of my lifetime.
Oh my goodness.
So we kind of go
sweating.
through like this particular element of the plot, but the plot in general really feels like just like, okay, we got to check all these boxes so they can all get together and fight Steppenwolf at the end.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about that final fight with Steppenwolf.
So
Yeah.
right before we go there, I will give a pump to the scene where Aquaman is like being really honest with, man, you know, we don't know if he's working for the bad guy. Man, you're really beautiful. I just feel like I've been a loner my whole life, and I need to be part of something bigger than myself. And then you look, and Wonder Woman has the lasso around.
That
his
was
That
good.
was really
That was
funny.
good.
That was
I'll
great.
pump that scene for sure.
I like
I
that.
loved that. And then he was like, if you tell anybody, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll definitely pump that
So,
scene
and,
for
then,
sure.
and that's them going to this final battle scene where they almost set it up to where like we might not get out of this one alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they
So
go
Batman's,
to Sokovia.
Batman's plan is to use the siren sound that he found out the parademons hate, blast it from his car speakers, and
End of plan.
Question mark.
Have them chase him so that he can set a
Buy time for,
for the civilians to leave. I think.
or was it to buy
Or
time
for
for
the-
Cyborg to separate the mother
For the real
boxes?
superheroes to get to work.
I think it was for this. I think it was for the other ones to have
Dude,
civilians.
actually, and I haven't even thought about this until you just said that sentence. I think that's another huge problem with this. This entire series, but especially this movie, really, really treated Batman as though it was like, all right, step aside, squishy man, and
Yeah.
let the real superheroes do their thing.
Yeah.
When in reality, that should not be the case at all. And I'm not just saying that because Batman is my favorite character, which he is, but just the heart of, I mean, you might as well at this point just be like, hey, Spider-Man, you ride this hoverboard through New York. That's how you get around now.
Yeah.
You don't swing from
It's
webs
just
anymore, but you're still
definitively-
Spider-Man.
Definitively not
Yeah,
Batman.
it just isn't. At this
and-
point, choose a different character.
Batman is the squishy one in the Justice League.
Yes.
But he's the most essential because all of the plans that they have to save the world, start with Batman.
Yeah.
And he even says, like in I think it's Justice League War or maybe it's Doom. He's like, we need Superman.
Yeah.
He's the big gun.
Yeah.
But he's the big
But
gun
Batman's
in
the
the planet
brain.
I create.
Yeah.
Batman's the brain. Yeah.
But in this, he's just
He's
bad.
not.
Seriously.
And so
He's honestly, to quote this movie, he's just rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who he
That's
is
it.
in this movie.
And that's first of all my least favorite line in the whole movie.
My least favorite line was after Superman pushes him, and then we get that cut to Batman, and it's just the one scene where he's laying on the ground trying to move his leg, and he's something's definitely bleeding.
Oh, by the way, also in this movie, I really did land on this. Hate the voice changer.
Really?
Hate it.
I kind of like it.
Absolutely hate it.
I think it's
it
cool.
makes it so easy to disassociate Batman as a person and just be like, here's this thing. And I would just rather it be Ben Affleck being growly. Honestly, I never thought I would say I missed the Christian Bale, like, hockey bats.
Yeah.
But like, I do.
I think
I like the voice
I would have
changer.
gone with voice changer. I think they could have done a better voice changer.
Just put Kevin Conroy's voice in instead.
Yes.
I think so too.
Why not?
Honestly, it's worth
Why not?
it's worth the months of training for
Yeah.
lip dubbing
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
to get Kevin Conroy's voice.
All right, so let's go ahead and blow through to the end of this.
All right, so big green screen. Everything in the movie is
Yeah.
green screen at this final fight scene. They're in a giant red cloud
Yeah.
that Steppenwolf has
It's
created.
awful.
And they start to work as a team for the first time. They have a couple cool scenes where they come and team up, Aquaman on Batman's
Yep.
Batmobile, and Wonder Woman saving Batman with a pair of demons, Flash saving people, Superman saving people, and then having one like kind of final fight scene at the end.
Which, by the way, I was so underwhelmed by.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty underwhelming.
Yeah. And I will say, so to no one's surprise, they succeed. They separate them other boxes. Steppenwolf feels fear and is devoured by parademons as he's sucked up in the boom tube. And then Superman and Cyborg have some really just like out of character and weird gallows humor.
Yeah.
Where Superman says, "I take it back. I wish I was dead." And Cyborg, for the first time, like exhibits a personality. And
Any emotion
and says,
whatsoever.
"I can't feel my toes. I don't even understand the physics of how I can't feel my toes." Which, first of all, is not the obvious joke. The
And
obvious
also, that
joke
wouldn't be
is-
physics.
The obvious joke is, I don't have toes.
I don't even have toes.
Yeah.
But also, that would not be physics. That's
Yeah.
biology or not. Like, that's
So,
not physics.
that humor fell completely
but
flat.
then they do that, and basically the entire cast goes,
You guys.
good joke. Great
Yeah.
joke. And then Wonder Woman delivers the zinger, children.
I
I
work
work
with
with children.
children.
Which,
I was
full circle,
fine with those.
hated it.
I was
No.
fine with it.
And here's why I hated it. They did not earn the moment of like, this is my job. This is what I do. I've been with these people long enough for this to be
It's true.
considered my work. Haha, I work with children. Laugh track, roll credits. Let's get
Well, I
out of
think-
here.
yeah.
They did not
Justice
earn
League
that.
was filmed in front of a live studio audience.
This entire movie was working both figuratively and literally, I think, working towards a victory that was never earned or paid for. It
Yeah.
was like this movie was both in fighting Steppenwolf, but also in like creating a family bond between the Justice
Well,
League.
it almost felt like the movie we really want to make is Justice League 2, and we recognize we should have made solo movies. So we're just
So
gonna
let's just cram this in
pump
first.
out this turd
Absolutely.
real quick. Yeah.
Well, I think if there's one thing we've realized in the DCEU, people become family a lot quicker
That's true.
in these movies.
That's
true.
This
So-
is the second movie to end with a giant fight and then be like, no, we're friends now. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and a small dump, they have that scene where they're looking over at the battlefield and they're like, nailed it. And then like
Alien flowers
alien
start
flowers
to grow.
start growing, and I was
Yeah.
confused why.
I think we all were. The whole world, especially that Russian family.
I
We'll
was
have to stay
very
tuned for the
confused.
sequel. One Russian family's very, very good day.
But yeah, so we could spend all day talking about just this CGI nightmare that was the final battle. But
Yeah.
we've established plenty of time. If you've watched more than just this episode, the CGI is obviously a problem. We know this.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the very end and then let's close out.
So very in the movie, after they have the final fight scene, what comes? Right
Is that
after
when
Almost nothing.
The only notable scene really after that final fight is Clark and Lois moving back into that farmhouse.
Yeah.
They
Bruce
and then
Wayne buys the bank.
yeah, Clark says, "Bruce, can't thank you enough for what you did. What
And-
is it that you did? Did you buy the house?" And Bruce goes, "I bought the bank."
Haha, very funny. He's rich, get it. But also, they never address, no one can know that Clark's alive.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if people ever piece together, like, so Clark
Clark-
died and Superman also died, but then Clark and Superman both came back at the same. No,
Which-
you don't
which In the
think.
theater, I thought if they're gonna do it logically, Clark can't come back.
Yeah,
You're
he
right.
can't.
And they just stripped us of a core character of Superman,
Yeah.
which is
Clark.
he plays both
Clark is
worlds.
dead.
Yeah.
And now he can only be Superman.
though? So there's a kind of a closing montage in this movie of Lois. She's doing a voiceover. She's writing a story for the planet about how heroes inspire hope and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so we get like little closing shots of everybody landing their arc.
Yeah.
So it kind of mirrors the beginning of the movie. And then the last shot is Superman in classic like Clark Kent big tan duster coat, white shirt, black tie,
Glasses.
and then glasses, and then we get
And
the
wiggle mustache.
and wiggle stash. We get the final shot of him opening his shirt to reveal the S, and he flies off,
Which I liked.
which I did love. Wiggle
But
stash
it was so
aside.
abrupt.
It was very abrupt. But is he Clark at that moment?
That's
Is
what
he
I don't
Clark?
understand.
Is that his Clark
Because
disguise?
if he walks back into the Daily Planet and is like, "Hey, I'm back from my job," and they're not like zombie, and like
Yeah.
try and like kill him. I don't understand
Speaking of the
these
Daily
people.
Planet, I have some very sad news to report to you guys.
I know exactly.
Perry White
Not in this.
is not in this film,
Get out of
and
town.
here is why.
Oh, is there a real reason behind this?
Wait, are you being serious? Is this another?
No, this is
Russian
not-
orphans very bad there.
No, this is a real thing. They
do
said,
it.
Lawrence Fishburne, please be in the movie. And he said, no.
Oh no.
Honestly, I say good for him.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion, but I say good for him. Get out.
So we've touched Justice League, and that ringy bell, which parademons hate, that we just heard on Jordan's phone, means that it's time for us to rate this movie.
Yeah. So we'll go over real quick.
Have we all given super pumps and super dumps?
Yes.
Okay.
So here at Two Chunks and a Hunk, obviously, we have our scientific cinema scale. This is the scale that we have created using deep laboratory
Yeah,
technology.
the market analytics have come back and
to allow us to accurately and perfectly, by the way, rate these
Yeah.
movies.
Yes. Yep.
And so, once again, I feel the need to say that these opinions represent Two Chunks and a Hunk only and not Alamo Drafthouse in any way. Here we go. Here's the
except you
science.
know what we mean. Wink.
Here's the scientific cinema scale in its entirety. The best thing we can possibly say about a movie is own it, don't lend it, buy that poster. Right underneath that, it's going to be just buy it. Just get it.
Yeah.
Get your hands on it.
Deserve it.
Right underneath that, rent it. You can drop a couple bucks on it. It's worth it. You know what I mean?
Come on.
Underneath that, stream it.
Do it.
Don't spend extra money.
Please.
Do not do that. But if you already pay for streaming services, go ahead
for
and do
it.
it.
Yeah.
Right underneath that is forget it.
Forget it.
That just means you're going to be better off if you forget and pretend this movie never existed.
Didn't happen.
And then underneath that, the worst thing we could possibly say about any movie. God hath forsaken us. So yeah, that's our scientific cinema scale. It is perfect. It's flawless, so we don't want to hear anything about it. But Doge, why don't you go ahead and hit us with your rating for this movie?
Okay, before I rate, I need to preface. When I purchased tickets for my showing at the wonderful, wonderful establishment called Alamo Drafthouse, I received an offer in my email and said, click this button and you get a free Justice League poster. And I said, I will wait. And if I honestly rate this movie, own it, don't lend it, buy that poster, I will get that free poster. And poster printers, you don't get me today. I'm so sorry. I did not like this movie that much. I would say maybe stream it if you're feeling adventurous. So stream it asterisk is what
Okay.
I rate this movie.
Fair enough.
I enjoyed myself while I was watching it. But I think the only way to continue enjoying myself would be to stop thinking about the movie that I just watched. So stream it.
Fair enough.
Here's what I'm going to say. Because there's two things I need to tell you about this movie first.
Okay.
That are not necessarily about this movie, but about this world. One, in 2015, Zack Snyder tweeted a picture of Aquaman, the first one we've ever been given, and it said, "Unite the Seven."
Yeah.
Here's my question. Who's the seventh person? There's 6 people in this Justice League, and we haven't seen any of that marketing.
Hey,
since.
here it
And,
is. Here
and
it is.
if it means unite the 7 seas, if it does, what is he gonna? Is he gonna make one ocean? Is he just
One
gonna make
world
one
ocean.
giant ocean?
Here's what it is.
Yeah.
Batman,
Yep.
Superman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash, Aquaman, Mima.
Wait, here's what I think actually happened. I think they were like unite the 7, which is a very famous tagline for Justice League.
Yeah,
it's
because
cool.
there's 7 people. It should be Green Lantern. It says unite the 7, and then I think someone in the studio said 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
Guys, we
6.
messed
Wait,
up.
1, 2,
Oh, no.
3, 4. "Oh, Zach, pull it," and they had to rip everything. They spent thousands of
I
dollars.
like to
on
imagine
United
that
and they
Zach
had
was
to
just
pull all of
like,
it.
"Hey DC studio, please just send me a picture of Aquaman. I only want to tweet the picture." And then he got it and he was like, "Let me take it into Microsoft
He
Paint,
put it in the like
unite those
the
seven."
meme maker thing.
And then the second thing is, if you go back and you watch our, I believe it's Man of Steel. No, I think it was BVS episode. Great episode. Want to give a shout out to
If
those
we
guys.
do say so.
And we talked about how Zack Snyder's favorite thing is to have cameos, Easter eggs, and they're not real Easter eggs. They're just things that are in the movie. And he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, did you catch that? That was Flash. Oh,
Yeah.
that guy. Oh, that was Jimmy Olsen." And like, no, it wasn't. And we made a joke.
We did make a joke.
That the two whales in Man of Steel, that was Aquaman. They said, "You got it, chunkies." That's exactly what
They
happened.
actually reached out
literally
to us
confirmed
via
that.
email. They called me and said, "Your show is exactly right."
You know, in every story, there's some truth and some lie. What Doge said is the lie part of it, but they did confirm
Yeah,
Those two
Jason
whales
Momoa.
are
genuinely
Aquaman.
Yep.
that was Aquaman saving Superman. Into that, I say,
So David, what do you rate
So I
this
rate
particular
this
film?
movie I'm going to give it a stream it.
okay.
Okay.
I thought Man of Steel was better. I thought Wonder Woman was way better.
Okay.
I think it's probably right there with BVS for me. I think if it's on Netflix, I'll probably fast forward a lot, get to the scenes I like, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to rent it. I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait for this thing to hit
I've spent
Netflix.
enough of my American dollars on this.
Sure.
My hard-earned American dollars.
Well, for me, it's kind of tough to rate it officially, just because I almost feel like I fall between two. But I'm gonna go ahead and say this. My official rating is forget it. That's my stance. This movie, especially if you're a DC fan, just forget this movie exists. With one caveat: forget it exists after you watch it once.
Yeah.
Like, see it once only because it's cool to see these characters on screen together.
Yeah.
It did ignite a sense of like, ooh, seeing like all of them live
Justice
action
League,
on
yeah.
screen.
Yeah.
But I watch it one time, then ultimately I think forget it. Other than the feeling it gave you when you saw them together.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, for me, just to give final thoughts right before we wrap up and finish, again, I think that this movie falls victim to what the whole DCEU has, which is an abundance of resources and absolutely zero excuse to be as poorly done as it is.
Yeah.
With the resources available to Warner Brothers and DC, these movies they really should be the greatest things we've ever seen. We should be they should be Star Wars quality, genuinely. And so it's just frustrating. And then just specifically for this movie, it really did just feel like a victory that was never earned or bought in any way. And so obviously, if you like the movie, That's why opinions are cool, because I can dislike it and you can love it. But for me, I went in with low expectations, and somehow I still left this movie very disappointed.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's so hard because they're going to continue to make these movies, and the foundation is so poor that even if there's a great, I know Batgirl is going to be great if Joss Whedon really does have
that's
that
true.
control. But it's like, again, it's the 10th block on a tower where I hate the rest of the foundation.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
like,
true.
okay,
That's a
you're
great
gonna give
way
me
of putting it.
You're going to give me a good movie on a system that I hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
my final thought.
That's it, guys. That's Justice League. I don't have any final thoughts
Yeah.
other than the post-credit scene reminded me why I hate Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor while simultaneously exciting me for Deathstroke.
Yeah. Deathstroke did look amazing. I want to pump on Deathstroke.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, I do want to say thank you to Seth Pittman for hashtagging official Chunky on social media. We appreciate that, Seth. And then on top of that, we want to say a huge, huge, huge thank you to two very special people. Number one is our good friend Adam Stout, who has been
He's right over here to my
engineering our
right.
sound for this entire recording to make sure everything runs smoothly while we're here live. So we want to say thank you to Adam for that. He's been a huge, huge help, a massive chunk head from the very beginning. We love you, Adam. Thank you so much. And then also, one final time, we want to say an enormous thank you to Alamo Drafthouse for allowing us to come film in their bathroom and lobby.
Thanks for being so man.
Yeah, thanks. Our chunky hearts go out to you guys. And so we hugely appreciate it.
Cool.
Make sure you check out next week. The week after this comes out, we are starting our Christmas kind of series of videos.
Extravaganza.
And we're starting right out of the gate.
Extravasanta.
Boom. The Santa Claus starring Tim Allen with three mini-sodes for Christmas, so you are not going to want to miss that. But anyway,
You're not gonna want to miss
you're not going to
that.
Chris Kringle miss anyway. That's Alamo Drafthouse.
pretty much
Thank you.
done, though.
So, okay,
For 2 chunks and a hunk.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Doge.
And I'm David.
Stop watching.
Boom.
Stay chunky.
Stay chowker.
Chunker.
Make like Campbell's soup. And if you want to go see
now
Daddy's Home
seeing
2, make
Daddy's
sure that
Home
you go
2
see
in
that
Theater
here at
7.
Alamo Drafthouse in Theater
Right
7.
at your local Alamo. Call 1-800-ALAMO for your local Alamo Drafthouse.
Well,
The official theater of 2 chunks and a hunk.
goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far in the video, first of all, that's awesome. And second, what are you doing with your life?
If you want to be the first to know when we drop new episodes, like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And if you want a shout out on our next episode, then post on social media #officialchunky.
That's CHUNKY. And with this knowledge, you too can fly. Hey, that rhymes. That's pretty good.